Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to meeting number 3 of the Central Area Elementary School Boundary Study Committee. My name is Chris Mercado. I'm with the Baltimore County Public Schools, Office of Strategic Planning. We invite all our committee members to start making your way towards your tables. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. As a matter of procedure, we invite everyone to log in, please, on the sign-in sheets. We have pink sign-in sheets up front for our guest observers. And we have green sign-in sheets for our committee members. Please avail yourselves to those. Please take a moment to notice the exits from the room. In the event of an emergency, our best exit is out the cafeteria door, which you came in, or immediately outside the cafeteria to the left, out the exit doors. In the event of an emergency, such as the sounding of a fire alarm, we would gather out in the parking lot, and we would use those sign-in sheets to verify that everyone's made it out safely. So again, please make sure you take a moment to sign in with us. Restrooms are just out the main exit doors here, a little bit down the hall on your left-hand side. We do ask that you please do not proceed into other areas of the building. We welcome those that are joining us in person as observers here tonight. We do ask our observers to please respect the space and the role of the committee. So during tonight's meeting, you're welcome to observe from your tables, but please do not cross over into the camera and committee area and interact with our committee members while they're working. We do ask that you respect their space. We do have opportunity for that coming up in the very near future at our public information session, where you will be able to engage in conversation with our committee members. Remind everyone we are on joined by BCPS-TV here tonight, live streaming us so that our folks at home can join with us. Committee members, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand, and one of us will be around with a microphone to make sure that we record your comments. Our website is www.bcps.org. If you follow the resources button at the bottom of that page, you can then follow a link to our Central Area Elementary Boundary Study. Our study contains all the videos from all previous meetings. It includes all materials from all previous meetings, including all maps. It includes a link to the comment form. We are logging comments from the committee. We've processed several hundred comments over these first 3 meetings, and we have logged them there. Our committee members are reminded each meeting and through regular emails to review the comments being posted by the public that are posted there. We do have Spanish interpretation available this evening. Should anyone request to listen or speak in Spanish. And again, please mark your calendars for the public information sessions. We have 2 coming up on consecutive nights, one at Cockeysville Middle School, one at Lochraven High School. Thank you again for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Matt Cropper.
Thank you, Chris. I have my own microphone. Thank you all for coming. Again, we really appreciate your input and your participation in this process. It's critical that what you guys have been doing so far has been very helpful in helping us drive us to make changes to maps, to develop new maps. So everything that we are doing is we are here to facilitate the process, but you guys are really running the show in terms of telling us and guiding us on how to make changes and how to develop options. So with that said, we have a pretty full agenda tonight. We want to review some maps. We have 12 total maps now. So we're bringing back 7 maps based off of input and markups that you provided at the last committee meeting. We haven't modified the original 5, but we have 6 through 12 tonight, and they are direct reflections of input, dissecting all the comments and all the input that you provided through the committee meetings and things like that. We're going to work in small groups tonight. We're not doing the individual, the 8-person groups, but there were suggestions by a couple committee members and a couple principals to try to work with a larger group that has a representative from each school around the table. So you're working in 3 groups tonight, and you'll see you have a set of maps. We have only the new maps posted up tonight, but you got a set back here for one group. There's a set back there for another group and a set in that back corner for another one. And we do have the original 5 as well on the back in rolls, and we'd be happy to bring those up for you if you'd like as well. One of the most important things tonight is to figure out what maps you'd like to take to the public info session. So when we get done with your small group work and you guys evaluate all of the maps, we want you to go through a process of nominating maps for consideration for the public info session, and then you'll take a vote on what maps to take to the public info session. Usually there's about 3 to 4 maps. Sometimes I've seen 5. Very rarely do we see a lot more than that, but it really depends on you guys how many maps you want to take to the public to get input from them as we move to the next phase of the study. So here we are in our timeline. Third meeting, we have 2 public info sessions in November, and then after that we have a break to allow feedback and input, and also with the holidays we'll be regrouping right at the beginning of the new year. So after the November public info sessions, we won't meet again until the new year, so that's where we are in this tonight in the process. We have some follow-ups and questions from committee members and principals and things. One of the questions was, there was a lot of discussion about preliminary enrollment, we were working with end-of-year enrollment, and we heard a lot of comments that the numbers that we were working with are not reflective of what the enrollment is in the buildings as of today. So we do have a slide in here and also in your handout that shows a comparison between what we're working with, these numbers, and then the preliminary September 30th numbers. And they are not strikingly different. They are somewhat close. Some are further off than others. And enrollment's a moving target. But remember that when we're doing this, we're working with FTE, which is full-time equivalency. So there's a calculation to get that enrollment number. It's not just a head count. They take account for students who are not in the school, in particular half-day programs and things like that. So these are the FTE numbers, and you can see how they compare between the current and then what we're working with. And they are only off by a few, but take a look at this, and this does reinforce the use of the data, and that the data that we're working with is still really close to what the current enrollment is. And so this was reassuring to myself, and hopefully it is to the committee as well as you see this, review it. There was a question about regional special education program locations. So the handout is available in your materials. This is available in your handout that was presented tonight. But this shows you the regional special education programs and pre-K programs, half and full day. And so you can see how they're broken down based off of what schools they're located at. So this is some data on where programs are located throughout the area of our study. There was a question about the demographics, and so we've been talking about demographics and the impact on demographics with the options. So this is a map that was generated that we've put together that shows you the majority demographic per planning block. And so every table per group has a map, a large plot map, and you can see the distribution of students by race and ethnicity. So you have Asian, Black, Hispanic, white, and other. And there was another question that was asked last time or in our break between the meetings about Hispanic, and is Hispanic counted as a race or is it counted as an ethnicity? And as the data is organized with BCPS, Hispanic is actually counted as a race. And so Hispanic is part of the total that adds up to a 100% within the data set. So you'll see planning blocks are colored different shades of color based off of the legend on what the predominant race is within the planning block, and you could see the distribution of students or planning blocks and where the predominant race is and how it's concentrated in different parts of the study area throughout the school zones. Another request. Committee member requested the historic and projected enrollment. So the historical FTE enrollment are available in the meeting materials provided this evening, so that's in your materials. We do have enrollment projections and utilization by school, and that's in the Meeting 1 handouts. So the projected enrollment data is there. We don't have projected enrollment for the options. The options are reflecting the data as of the end of the year, September. So, and then, but with that, you can use the projected enrollment information and try to get a sense of where growth may be happening and things like that. So also, there's detailed projection information by school available online in Students Count Report in 22. If you go to bcps.org under Resources, you can find that. So if you want to learn more about how the projections are done and the projection methodology. Map and information on rental and subsidized housing. So we have contacted Baltimore County Planning to get information on this. Still forthcoming, so stay tuned. We will provide and follow up on that so that you have information on rental and subsidized housing. And then school performance data are available at the MSDE Maryland State Report Card website. And so this is the website link, so you can go there to look at how at that information if you're interested in school performance data. We have made some splits to do the work that we have in order to develop the options and to facilitate the maps that we're bringing back to you tonight. So there are a series of planning block splits that have occurred. We also had to do a lot of splits in order to develop map option number 12 as well, which is a map that focuses on the primary consideration of demographic diversity as the primary focus. And so, but these splits were made to help generate the options and to facilitate the comments and work that you have made. So you can refer to this if you want, but the maps that you see online and on the walls all reflect these planning block adjustments, the splits that we had made. Again, some more splits. You can see before and after, just basically splits that were made. Like this one's 1715 for Lutherville, and then now we split it to 1715 and created a new 1719 in order to develop some alternatives that best adhere to your considerations. So we had a lot of good input from the last meeting from your small group work. You reviewed 5 maps at that last meeting, as you recall. And then these new maps are direct reflections of feedback from small groups. We want to make sure that we are listening and that we are trying our best to bring back maps that reflect thoughts and considerations you have made. Sometimes we did our best to try to create as many maps as we had to. So we wanted to try to keep the map number as small as possible. But when we ran into an issue where we saw a couple of groups commented on pointed arrows to one way and another group pointed an arrow another way, that necessitated a change in actually creating an additional map. And so these maps reflect your input in all the series of options, and as it was presented and as you have noted in your small group meetings at the last meeting. There was a request for a draft option that reflects the demographic diversity of the study area. As you know, when you did your sticker exercise at meeting 1 on the considerations, the demographics had the most stickers on it. And we also got feedback from committee members saying that these maps that we've done so far may not move the needle enough in terms of providing more demographically diverse environments in all the schools in the study area. So we developed map option number 12 was the map where we made the best effort to try to improve demographic diversity of all the schools in the study area as best as possible. So you'll see that doing that does have a lot of drawbacks as it relates to the other criteria or the other considerations, but it definitely is the map that has the best balance of demographics of all the maps that have been considered. So we'd like for you to review that as well and give your thoughts on that map as well. Just remember that nothing is written in stone. I know that, like I said, the last meetings, several meetings, this is an emotional process. People are, you see a map, an area moved, and it elicits this gut reaction to you, especially if it's an area that you live in and things like that. But just remember that things are still draft, still subject to change. The focus tonight is to try to evaluate these and try to think about what maps you want to take to the public, maybe which ones to set aside, still reference parts of the maps that you don't take to the public info session, but just think about what maps that are viable for in your minds to take to the public for further input. After that, you have 2 more meetings to still consider and finalize to work towards a recommendation for the school board. So, like I said, we have 12 maps tonight. You have the 8.5 by 11s in your page, in your packets. We have the new maps up here, but we have the old maps on rolls. If anybody wants those, just holler at me or James or BCPS, and we'll make sure we get those maps for you. The online map is now live. That has all of the interactive map has all the maps on there, and then and all of the materials will be posted tomorrow morning on the BCPS page for the public to also be able to download and review. Everything is the same format as you've seen before. I'm not going to go into much detail, but we have data on the utilization, so you can see the utilization of the map of each school and each particular option, over and under capacity. And this is for all 12 maps. So you'll see when you go to a page on your handout, we couldn't fit them all on one sheet because there's just a lot of them. It gets real small. So if you don't see it, go to the next page. I think it's on 3 pages in order to be able to see all of the data from each map in terms of utilization. Demographic data is also there so that you could see the demographic information for all of the maps that we're sharing that you guys are looking at up to date. Impacts, you could see that impacts vary across from map to map. And this shows you the total number of students impacted. And then these tables help you answer how many students are moved from one school to another and how many. And so if you wanted to look at how many kids are moved from Hampton to Cromwell Valley in map 8, you could say there's 41 moved from Hampton to Cromwell Valley in option 8. Feeder pattern data, so we have that reported for all 12 maps. How many splits are there, a total split count, and then the percentages of split are presented for all of the maps in your handout. And then walk zone data, this shows you how many students are in the walkable area for the schools, and these do vary from map to map. So take note of that and look at where, how the walkability is impacted. So any questions, or is there anything that we didn't answer that you had posted that you were hoping for an answer for before we break you guys into your small groups? Yes, let's get a microphone. We have a question that is the planning block. So you're asking about the planning block splits.
Check 1, 2.
Okay. Let me go back.
I can help you with that.
It basically shows how planning blocks were split. And
see how this planning block.
Chris, you wanna? So the question was how do you interpret this slide? So this basically says you that 707 was split into 707 and 722. So 31 total, and now there's 30 in this one, and 722 is the new one with 1. So that's kind of how, this was the original block, and these are how they were split into 2.
This is currently all Lutherville Lab. This is showing a scenario.
Any other questions? And I'm sure that you can ask also after. Hold on one second.
Right here, 612.
Let's see, maybe we should grab James, would you get another microphone for us? Here we have another question right here, or comment. Go ahead.
You may have answered this over there. I just didn't know if those splits were consistent with all of the new drafts.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, they show up on all the maps now, correct. Not necessarily saying that they weren't divided. We split the planning block to be able to, in some maps show them as separate, and some maps may show them still together as one. But it's at the same school, but they're split in every map.
Hi. So you mentioned that enrollment is a moving target, and I noticed in a bunch of these we're shifting like a couple percentage points above and below 100. Do we have qualitative data from principals, from parents and students, on teachers, on which buildings are experiencing negative impacts from their current enrollments?
That's something I will put that on the parking lot question, and we will follow up with you on that to be able to address that and talk with BCPS about that. So if you write that on the parking lot question, that's something we will follow up with on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just quick question about the comments. I was, reading them. It's very overwhelming. I was just wondering what are you guys doing with all the comments? How are you gathering data out of them and making sense out of them? Because it's thousands, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, there are a number of comments, probably over 100 every week are being generated. And it's data that we're reviewing, we're evaluating the comments. We're looking for any input on the comments that may be constructive in terms of things that we may not be aware of, that may be violating any of the considerations and things like that. And so we are looking at them and studying those comments. But mostly and we're taking that in and we're sharing that with you guys. But mostly we're working through you, as you are our vehicle for making changes to maps. And so if we see something that comes up that hasn't been discussed, or as a constructive input comment that needs to be brought forth to the table, we will share that. We will bring those up with you. But we're taking it in, we're looking at them, studying them, and sharing them with you as committee members, and hope that as you've all obviously been looking at them, if there's anything within those comments that you feel are important to note, that we should bring, that we should consider, please do so, and we will do the same.
Well, I have a mic right now, so I figured I'd just
Go
talk
ahead.
real quick. In the packet, you had the preliminary enrollment from the end of September in here, and a lot of that was really updated, giving us a good idea for kind of at least where the schools are right now. I know that we've talked about that we're using the data from last year. I think we all would prefer to use the most up-to-date data we have. I'm just wondering if there's any possibility that maybe since there's a gap until our next meeting, because we have the public sessions and stuff like that, maybe when we come back and we get new maps, or we're looking at these old ones, is it possible we could get them with the updated data? And that would not only give us an idea of where things stand right now, but also give us a good idea of how is this actually impacting the schools. Like maybe we're making these changes and it's making a school worse, or making a school taking too many kids away, or adding too many kids to a school that really can't handle it. So I think it would be helpful to kind of get the new numbers put in, if that's possible.
Yes, Paul, would you like to answer that?
Yes, we'll try to do that and get it.
You're on.
Yes, we'll try to get that more up-to-date data and put it more into the maps. It's a different process, but we'll see if we get it done before your next meeting.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead, sir, and then we'll get to you.
So just going back to the question about enrollment and the uncertainty in that, do we have an idea of how much we trust an enrollment figure? Are they good to like 1%, 5%, 10% historically?
Well, I guess I would post that on the parking lot as well in terms of the enrollment. Any questions about the enrollment data and the enrollment figures? That's something that we can also follow up with.
Historically, these numbers are never going to be perfect, but how well are the estimates?
Are you referring to like the estimates for the actual options for the boundary changes, or the
No,
actual
I'm saying
enrollment?
that every year they produce an estimate for the number of kids showing up in a school, and the number of kids who actually show up is going to be different by some number.
Right.
And I'm just asking, is that number typically good to 1% or 5% or 10%?
Okay.
Because if we end up arguing about, we're putting this school 5 over capacity, and it turns out we don't trust those numbers are better than 20, well then we don't have to worry about that. But if it's the numbers are reversed, then that's an important difference.
So the enrollment is taken at a point in time, and so that enrollment tomorrow could be different, and then the next day could be different as students enroll and withdraw. So that's when I was saying it's a moving target because it's a sort of a fluid process of enrolling and withdrawing. Chris, did you want to make some comment?
Just the September 30th enrollment, that students count report that we referenced earlier, that has 1 year accuracy data in that report. One of the appendices of that report has the prior year and how it compared to the incoming September 30th. Okay. So that data is there for you in the students count report.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a request, more than a question, but this is a ton of information. You've given us new information. That's great, but it's a lot to take in and digest and make decisions on within 2 hours. So if we could have some sort of read ahead before the next meeting, I think we'd all be better informed and able to be making better decisions.
We'll do our best. We are working vigorously to prepare for the meetings and have things ready for you for the meetings and within the timeline. Mr. Taylor, do you want to make a comment?
If any changes are made in your group discussions to any of the options, and then those are the options that you're going to go forward with to the public information session, we'll make sure we redo the statistics and send them to you ahead of time.
Yeah, even a day before would be useful before showing up.
Yes.
Big packet of a ton of information.
Yes, we understand it's a lot to take in when you're sitting down and getting all the maps and data at the meeting. So we will do our best to give you anything we can in advance. So that's something that we will definitely try to do.
Hi there. I was looking at the historical full-time equivalent enrollment by marking period charts at the back of the handout, and at least I can identify for one school in particular that it is hideously off from what it was. And I don't know the significance or relevance to anything else, but I think that this needs to be checked. And I understand it's sourced out to the Office of Data Analytics 6/19 of 23, but I know firsthand that there's no way the numbers of Pleasant Plains going back to 2018, 19, et cetera, were that low. Because there were additional staff that had to be provided legally because it was over 700 for a long period of time. And it is not reflected here. And I also know that there was extreme variability during the course of the year based on class sizes. And that's not reflected in there. There was deviation of at most 3 students in 2019, 680 to 683, and I know that to not be the case. So I have some question as to the reporting of those numbers. Okay. We'll talk with BCPS when you guys break into groups and follow up with you on that. And so we will follow up on that.
For the state-rated capacity, one of my questions at the last meeting that I didn't see reflected was how are those numbers calculated? So, for instance, Timonium Elementary School, 395. We're currently at 458, and we've voiced that we don't feel overcrowded. We're wondering where that number comes from. Okay, so I think we've talked about state-rated capacity and how that formula is calculated, but we will follow up with you. And it is a state-rated number that the state approves, and there's a process for getting that capacity number, and it's validated. So we will, but we will follow up on state-rated capacity to give you more information, point to you where that may have been discussed.
One thing I'll say about state-rated capacity, every school is not the same, but the state has a specific formula that we got to plug in to calculate that number. So we know that 2 schools with the same state-rated capacity, one might feel tight and the other one may not, because the schools are physically different.
Mm-hmm. So we ready to break into your small group work? And so you've got this. Your groups are a good, decent size, and so let you guys manage on how to work within your small groups. If you want to split up into smaller subsets and work with a couple maps and rotate, however you guys want to work in your small groups, but you guys are organized into your areas based off of when you signed in. So this group right here is working in this corner, and then we have a group back here working in that corner, and then this group is over here. And so we will be going around helping to answer any questions and helping and as you guys work through it. But at this point, we're going to let you break in your small groups. You have about an hour to work through it. So we'll let you go ahead and dive into it and start working on it. And as you do it, just start thinking about what maps you want to take to the public and maybe any maps with changes and those types of things. So we're going to go ahead and let you get to it. Okay, it looks like you guys are making really good progress. I think I'm seeing some people settling, ready to move to the next step. How about a 5 more minutes, and then we will get back to the next steps of our meeting tonight, okay? So you guys have about 5 minutes. Okay, I think we are about ready to regroup. Does anybody need any more time before we get back together with the full committee? You guys in the back corner, are you guys about ready? All right. If we could reconvene at our tables, and then we'll get on with the next important phase of this meeting. So, make sure that all of our conversations are wrapped up and we're not cutting anybody short. James, are we good to go back there? All right. So, a lot of good conversations I'm hearing you guys having around the maps. There was a lot of maps to take in, and I think that you guys are doing a great job of kind of a well-oiled machine now in interpreting the data and looking at the maps and things like that. What we want to do is, like I said at the beginning, we need to figure, you guys as a committee need to figure what maps you want to take to the public to get more input from, maps that you think are viable to be considered and to continue to be considered. So what we're going to do now is a nomination process. So in this nomination process, what we're doing is any member of the committee, not including the principals, is able to nominate a map to be considered. If you nominate a map, one of us will take that map and post it up on the wall here. So we're going to try to get our maps of nominated maps on this wall so that we can get a visual for the maps that are being nominated. You can nominate a map with as is, or you can nominate a map with changes if you'd like. And so when you do your nomination part, you can explain your thoughts on why you want this map or why you want a map with changes, and sort of help the committee understand your thoughts on that. So say there's map 11, and then if you have a map with changes, that map, and you give us the planning blocks that you want to move, that map would be, the next map would be a map 11 version 1 or V2. And so so that way we could have 3 variations of one map potentially, or we could have maps as is. Any questions about the nomination process? Yes, sir. We'll get you a microphone.
So, yep. So principals aren't obviously part of the nomination or the voting process, but correct. Are we going to be able to give feedback before we start this process real quick, or no?
I think so. Yeah. With the maps that get nominated, you're more than welcome to vocalize your thoughts.
So can I talk then right now, since I have the
sure.
mic? Why
not?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So one of my concerns, just for the map, as the principal of Hampton Elementary School, is PB 428 has, for diversity purposes for my school, number 1, and for students that have significant needs. That's as far as I'm going to put it for those families. They're moved in every one. I do not want to lose that community. I don't think that's fair to them. It's a community that should stay. And it could easily be fixed by swapping, because that, and most of them, goes to Cromwell Valley. It could easily be swapped out with 423, which is, I believe that's the number, is almost a net, swap with it. So that's the one that's most important. I just want to put that out to the committee for me.
And so you were saying that PB 428 gets moved from Hampton out of Hampton.
Stays at Hampton.
Yes, but PB 428 gets moved out. But what you're saying is, in any option, you could keep 428 in Hampton, and then in trade put 423 in Cromwell Valley.
It's a net difference of 16 kids only. And I don't mind if I keep other ones too. There's other blocks on the other side. But yeah.
You obviously know the area and the needs, so I'm not disputing any of that. So I think that's perfectly reasonable. I just wanted to put out there, I think one of the reasons why they got moved is, if I'm not mistaken, they're a zone for Lochraven Academy for middle school, and I think they'd be the only PB left at Hampton going there. So I guess I would just weigh the consideration that maybe then there'd be only a small number of them going to a different middle school. I mean, I understand. I'm just. Well,
sorry.
It's fine. I just figured I'd bring
and
it
I
up.
could also say too is
on planning block moves, I pull up a notepad.
Yeah, I get it, but
the
kids are going to go to middle school and make new friends all the time. They've been at that school, it's comfortable, there's different needs, things that I'm doing at school to provide those for those kids. So that's all I'm saying.
That perhaps the 6 years at Hampton that they're getting and the stability that they're getting is more important than them going to middle school with kids they went to elementary school with.
And so that is a change that can be nominated. Is there a particular map that you were referring to when you mentioned that, or is that's represented in all maps? Okay. Any other general comments before we open the floor for nominations?
Yeah. Sorry, forgive me. I'm pulling up my. I was trying to pull up the what I wrote down here. All right. I had something similar. That was awful. All right. And this has not been vetted by others, so I caution it. But number one, I do echo the comments about planning block 428, that it's regularly moved. It needs to be left alone. There are other neighborhoods that I understood from last time that people didn't want to move because they were just moved. And yet in every map, I believe from 7 through 12, planning block 428 is moved. So that seems to me that there is a disparity there. There could be some way to configure it to where you said that there were additional planning blocks for Hampton versus Cromwell Valley that could be reconfigured to make it easier for bus routes and whatnot, and balance the numbers. Cromwell Valley presently is 20 students under capacity, I believe. So we also don't want to overcrowd it, but at the same time, there is more flexibility probably with Cromwell Valley than maybe some other places, at least as of today. But long term, it is something you have to keep an eye on because of its size and both internally and externally. Now, what I had written down was potential here for 421, 423, 420 to CVE, 422, 430, 428 to Hampton.
Can you repeat that one more time, sir? A little slower?
The way I was looking at it was 421, 423, 420 to CVE, 420, 430, 428 to Hampton. If I'm not mistaken, that's a net gain for Cromwell, net loss for Hampton. But my math may need to be checked on that.
And that's built off of a particular option?
Oh, I think that should be a universal application.
Universal. Okay. So you mentioned 420 twice in both. You said
421, 423, 420, and then separately 422, 430, 428.
Okay.
Again, check the math though, because Hampton needs to lose students, not gain.
Okay. Okay.
At the front of the room, and just have people, when they want to make a specific thing, go up to the map and just point to what they're talking about so we know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to, we could maybe bring a map up and you could just point to the areas you were talking about. That'd be fine. Do you know any particular option we should maybe put up that you can point to? Okay. Then how about we have option 5 right here? Would that be just to point to the area, not necessarily the particular map, but just so if you want to just point to the area here, and then let's get him a microphone.
I think. Thank you. All right, the areas I'm referring to are right here. That would be easy to get to Cromwell. The areas here would be contiguous still to Hampton, and I think the numbers balance out.
So it's the area that where Hampton comes down south of Cromwell Valley is
right.
The area?
Because then you pick up this, and it's adjacent and contiguous. That's 428 right here.
Okay.
So if you take from this side, add over here back this way, that should work, and it should result, again, check the math, but it should be that Hampton loses students, Cromwell gains, and 428 is left alone.
And you'll have, once the nominations go up, we will make sure that you have time, maybe go up and look at the maps before you vote. So you'll have time to kind of look, any map suggested changes we'll give you some time to go just examine the maps and look at them and think about them before you do vote on a map. So some suggestions, some general suggestions on changes to consider before we get into the nomination process, okay? All right, so why don't we open the floor for nominations? And now it is open. Anybody who wants to nominate a map can voice their thoughts.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I was working on a map with a principal from Hampton. Where'd he go? Okay. And I think we placed it over here. It's a hybrid between map 7 and the one next to it, 8.
Map 7 and 8.
And
okay.
so it's over there.
Okay, so can you...
I'll just sort of describe.
Maybe somebody from your group hold it up and you can kind of describe the map.
Yeah,
and
that one.
we need to be pretty concise on changes
Okay.
or something so that we can document for the record.
Well, he already documented down here with the sticky notes, but the difference is, what he described with the changes in Cromwell Valley to try to actually get that to utilization, because it's centered in the population density, and we also like the how the part of the northern part of the county was arranged. So it was like a combination between the two maps.
Okay, so this is map number 8 with.
So like 8A?
Yeah, so this would be 8A, but 8 version 2, 8 version 2, that's what we'll call it. And then, do we need to document all of the changes? So if we could.
Oh, the changes you had for the apartments, they were.
Okay, so here's what we need.
Yeah, I think you put your sticky note on that.
Okay, so here's what we need is in order for us to make sure that we're clear, you need to help us identify the planning block moves for map 8 that turn it into map 8V2, if we could. And we can have time to, and are you talking about the Rogers Forge area? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's get it on the record. Let's go ahead and get the changes noted here.
So those comments are on here. You put them on your sticky note.
Okay, can you?
We need to call them out one at a time so that we
Okay.
can document them.
So it was planning block 1914 moved to West Towson.
Okay.
Then planning block 1915 to Rogers Forge.
Okay.
1915 to Rogers Forge.
Okay. Do you want me to go through these again? Okay.
We need everyone.
So then it's planning block 416, 417, 428.
Okay, where are they?
Go to Hampton, and that's what was described earlier.
Okay.
Then it's planning blocks 426, 427, 431 to Stoneleigh.
Okay.
And lastly, planning blocks 423, 424 to Cromwell Valley.
Okay.
And that's it, because we took care of that and that. That's it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we have map 8 version 2 that's been nominated. Yes, sir.
Hi there. Am I able to nominate multiple maps?
Yeah, I think you could. Yes, you could.
Okay. I would like to nominate map 10 with the changes to Hampton and Cromwell Valley that have been described already.
Okay, so map 10 with, do you have the notes or you want me to repeat them or?
I think I was writing them down from what the Hampton principal said. So let me just make sure I get them right. 416, 417, 428 to Hampton? Is that? Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
map 10.
416, 417, 428 to Hampton?
Map
And
10 V2. Okay.
And then, this is 10 here. I'm coming around. Apologies, I'm trying to come this. 423 to Cromwell, and and 424. Yeah, 423 to Cromwell.
Just 423?
Yeah.
Okay.
In map 10, 424 already is Cromwell.
Okay, okay. Is that it then for that one?
That's it for 10, yes.
Okay. Did you get that, Mike? So that's 10 V2.
I'd also like to nominate map 9.
Okay.
With the same, I have to look at 9, but the same changes regarding Cromwell and Hampton.
Okay.
But I haven't written the. And those will be my nominations.
And can you, just for the record, can we just repeat? I have, are they the exact same planning block moves as the 10?
I think so. I was trying to keep track of what they were when we were down here at the tables. I didn't go back to the maps, but I think that they will be the same.
416, 417, 428 to Hampton.
And 423 to Cromwell.
To Cromwell, from off of map 9.
Correct.
Okay.
Hey Jason, what's the second map there? Okay, just want to make sure I keep the right order. It'll get really confusing.
So Mike, did you get 9V2 down?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Any other nominations to be considered? Yes, ma'am. Should be on. There we go.
Hello. I agree with the nominations of maps 9 and 10. With regard to map 8, I'm fine. I agree with the adjustments that were made, but I would also request that on map 8 that 1912 and 1913 remain at Westhausen. Those are the two planning blocks that are.
Okay, and they're at, where are they currently in that map?
In that map, they're sending them to Riderwood,
Riderwood,
which
okay.
is difficult from a transportation standpoint.
Okay. So this would be map 8V3. That uses all of the same adjustments to that 8V2 uses, but 1912 and 1913 to Westhausen.
Is it possible to go back to either the 9 or the 10 that you guys just tweaked?
Yeah, we could definitely.
I just wanted to add.
Hold on 1 second. Let's finish this first.
Yeah.
Make sure we got it right. 8 version 2, yes. All of that plus 1912. Copy that in and call it option 8 version 3, and then add 1912 and on 1913. Yep. Correct.
Is there any chance we can ask the first person who nominated that if they're okay with the additional changes, if they're fine with it, we can give one option?
Okay. Instead of having an option with just a slight variation. Okay. So the committee member asked the person who originally nominated 8 version 2, would they be amenable to those Westhausen, moving those 2 planning blocks back to Westhausen instead of Riderwood, in order to avoid an additional map with just a couple planning block difference? There's a lot of, well, let's see, because there's moves to Westhausen, 12, 13, and 14 Westhausen. I think it would be better, probably better just to keep them separate, with the understanding that map 8v3 is the build off of 8v2 with those slight adjustments. And so as a committee, you know when it comes time to vote for those, that those 2 maps just have that slight variation in those 2 planning blocks, okay? We can nominate as many maps, and then we'll do a voting process. So we can nominate till the cows come home if we want. So,
I just wanted to make a slight tweak to this one, option 10.
The option number 10.
So in the other options that were already nominated, 424, I wanted to move it from Hampton to Cromwell. It has 0 students, but there's a possibility maybe that would change. But in other...
In 10, it's in Cromwell already.
Then never mind.
Okay. Say again, you guys good? That was just clarification. She did not nominate a map. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
We wanted to say that we agree with the nomination of MAP 9, but we have a Padonia parent. We're thankful for the relief that MAP 9 gives Padonia, by the way, and that planning blocks 914 and 915 are Padonia walkers, so they should not be moved.
Okay. So are you suggesting MAP 9V2 with the MAP 9 with the changes that they've made, but with 914 and 915 staying at Padonia?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So MAP 9V2.
Is that right, Dan?
Well, yes, but it's built off of 9V2. With 914 and 915 at Padonia. (914) and 915 at Padonia. So it's 9V2 with those two additional adjustments.
Excuse, can I jump in just to speak to that?
I'm sorry.
Oh, lo siento.
I think 915 should be removed.
Okay, so keep 915, but only move 9.
No. Move 915.
Okay,
Yes.
but not 914.
No.
Okay, and is that in a consensus? Is that what you? Okay, so just making sure if it's not one map or additional map.
Yeah, I could just add.
Hold on one second. Hold on 1 second.
Can I just add to that point? Directly to that point.
Let me make sure I'm caught up, okay? And then we'll let you comment. Let me make sure I'm caught up. So the nomination that sits right now was 9V, this is 9V3, which is built off of 9V2 with only planning block 915 moving to Padonia, not 914. Right, James?
You don't want to.
No, but I don't want
Okay.
So then that's wrong.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that thing for the.
Okay.
Yes, 914. 914 stays.
914 stays in Padonia. 915 does not. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So, Mike,
Yeah,
you good? Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if this is going to help, but what we're trying to do right now is just get options up to vote on. So we're not debating or negotiating what these options look like. If someone says, this is what I'd like, that goes up. If someone else says, I like that, but I want to add this, that goes up. So we're trying to get them up as soon as possible so then you can look at them and then decide which version you like, because we could go forever.
But I think what they're trying to do is streamline and avoid two maps that have just one.
I understand.
Right. Okay, but let me, hold on 1 second. Hold on. I would need to follow. We had a comment over here that you wanted to make a comment about that. You're good on your comments on the Padonia? Okay. Okay, well, let's get you a microphone and then, hold on. Yep, and then we'll get to you, okay?
For option 9, I just wanted to add 427 to Stoneleigh. That was previously talked about at length. Stoneleigh is on board. 427.
Yeah, so you want option version 1? Or
No, option 9, this one.
Well, there are currently.
If it doesn't have 427 going to Stoneleigh, if we could add 427 going to Stoneleigh.
Stoneleigh offers a friendly amendment to map 9V2, which adds PB 427 to Stoneleigh. You didn't say the 9V2 part. And that's where he was confused. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
9V.
saying the same thing as you. I'm just being more explicit about which map.
And all the versions, it moves.
Well, so here's the thing: is we, in order to make that, eight individuals are nominating. And if an individual nominates, we'd have to go back to 9V2 and make sure that that person who nominated is comfortable with that adjustment. We're not trying. Okay. Did you make, and you made that? Okay. So then a 9v2, also 427 to Stone.
It just seemed like a tweak that was kind of already agreed on.
I know,
It just seemed like
but
something that was kind of already agreed on in previous
Okay.
meetings, so it just seemed to make sense to kind of not
Yep.
make another change.
Got you.
Thank you.
Well, there's a 9v2 and a
where's not
9v3,
nine over
right?
here?
There's that one, 9v2, but it doesn't have, the Bedonia thing that you have up there. Are you okay with the addition of the Bedonia PB 420, 914 to Bedonia? Because that, you don't have.
That's
he doesn't have that.
1914, isn't it?
He doesn't have that on there.
Sorry, option 9, version 2, that should say PB 1914 to Bedonia, correct? No, it's 1914, not 914. Is it 914? It looks like 19. Oh, yeah, all right. Sorry, take it back.
But that needs to be added to your thing up there, Chris.
Up there, yeah.
Just bear with us. We'll get you.
Yeah, so I'm over
Can I
here
talk?
about.
Oh, no. Hold on one second. We're just trying to get back on track with the 9v2 and 3. So do we still have a 9v2 and a 9v3?
Yes. That's a 9v2?
915 the hot spring and 914.
Yeah.
Say what, James? He did that. He did make a change to 9v3. And so now, can we see what the Mike? Can we see what the differences are between 9v2 and 9v3? Okay, we'll make sure that we're aligned. We got time. We can get this right. This is good stuff. Just bear with us. We're trying to make sure that we get it all right for the record.
And the Stony one. Now, I'm not sure. We're moving 427 from 9. We should be moving 431 as well.
In option 9, PB 914 is already in Padonia. Okay. So do we have 9 version 2 correct, right? That matches Chris. Okay. Now. Well, no, yeah, no. I'm trying to get to these nailed down first, and then. Do we have 9 version 3 all clarified?
Just the difference, we just added, but Stonely is added to 2 instead.
Okay, and James, you're in line? Okay. Okay, so I think we're all yep. Okay, so 9 version 3 and 9 version 2 are the same map.
No, except for Stonely.
It's 427 to Stonely. Okay. But we did hear that he concurred to make that move to Stonely as well. And I know. Okay, are you guys? Yes, 915 is not. Yes, correct. So the only difference between 2 and 3 is that planning block 427 to Stonely. Okay. And, yeah. All right. And yes, now we have another nomination.
All right, so we're done with that, right? I just want to make sure. So I will say for myself that I find this extremely confusing changing these on the fly. And I think it's going to be impossible to, personally, I find that that's going to be very difficult to vote for. I think it would make more sense to bring forward the maps as is and kind of with the public feedback, and then before the next meeting, make these kinds of changes. That's my personal opinion. So I'm going to suggest, in terms of maps to be nominated, unchanged, just so we know exactly what the numbers are. The ones that seem to be the most popular were 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I'd like to see all 4 of those be nominated for a vote, at least. 8 and 9 looked very good in terms of fewer number of students. 7 and 10 moved a little more, but also had more walkers, which I thought was a big thing that we were looking for. So I thought those were all good things to look to at least get the consensus and get a vote. I'd also like to add, I know it hasn't been talked about here, I would like to add 5 on as well, just because that was under 100 capacity for all the schools, and it's the only map that was like that. I at least would like to have that out for the floor to vote. So that's it.
Okay.
So 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 of those. But as is, so everyone can look at the numbers and know what they are.
We will also, just for information, the map changes that are being posed, those we are going to update the numbers for the public info sessions. They will be updated at the public info session with the noted changes as well.
Absolutely, but I just feel like it's tough to vote on them without really kind of knowing.
Understood. That's fine. Yep. Okay. So.
Okay. Sorry. It's kind of like what he was saying. I am so lost right now. And so would it be like just easier to put everything that we are trying to do on one map and work with like one map and make the changes? Because it's just so many maps and versions.
I understand, but what this process gives everybody, every individual has the opportunity to share their thoughts on map changes. They don't have to provide adjustments. They can provide them as is. And, and then when we get to the voting process, if you think it's too confusing, you don't have to vote yes on it. You can vote no on it and just stick with maps that you think. It's hard to build, like tonight is not the night for us to try to figure it all out and try to figure out the best map for the recommendation. Tonight's the night to just try to get a number of maps, take the public, hear what the public has to say, chew on that, take that and consider that with everything else, and then make 2 more meetings to make changes and finalize a map.
If we get the map that we're all agreeing on and we work from there, can we do that?
Well,
am I saying it right?
Please bear with us. The process that we're going through, the whole point is not to negotiate a particular map. It is to have anyone who thinks this is a good idea to put it up on the wall. If someone says, I like that, but I want a slightly different version, put that on the wall. And then once everything's on the wall, everyone says, something up there I like, then we will vote on it to see which ones go to public information session. We're not deciding on the final recommendation. We're just deciding which ones do we want to bring to the public, share with them, get their feedback, and then you have 2 more meetings before you finalize and negotiate the final version. In fact, sometimes it's a good idea to bring something that there's a lot of debate about, because you want to get feedback from the public to see what they think. So this is not about finalizing. This is just about, I think that's a good idea to go to public information session. So right now we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that everything?
And then even if a map does not get voted to go to the public info session,
it's still in play.
Still in play. You could still take note of those adjustments, consider those. If it's you could still consider adjustments, that fine tuning, especially if what we're talking about.
So I think I kicked this off earlier, but I see that the suggested changes never made it into any of the maps that are now hanging in the wall.
So then we would need to have a committee member nominate that.
I did.
Are you an administrator or are you a committee member?
Committee member.
Okay. Okay, then now's the time. I'm sorry. I thought you were a principal for some reason. You look principal-like. Sorry.
Career change.
But no, but okay, so now
Principal Thomas, you're off the hook.
So let's go ahead and get it, let's go ahead and get your changes on the record. So
We'll start with 8,
Yeah.
and the changes were, and this is just a tweak to what's already there, I believe. 422 and 428 to Hampton, and 421 and 423 to Cromwell. So the two of those numbers got left off.
starting with 8. See, because I think that your suggestions were kind of built into some of these other.
Right, but they're not reflected as written on the maps, so they're not getting captured. That's the reason why I'm doing this again.
Okay.
That's fine. Right. They just put it on a sticky, but they never made it on the map. So I had 422 and 428 to Hampton, and 421 and 423 to Cromwell. So the way you have it there, you have 416, 417, 428 to Hampton, and
let's do map 8V.
I mean, it wouldn't bother me to add this into the other one, but let's just keep it clean if you want to.
Okay, you're okay with that? Okay.
That is to go to version
So then,
2.
yeah.
Add in 422 to Hampton, and then to Cromwell Valley, you add in 421. There you go.
Okay. And
That's
then the
problem
original
solved.
nominee.
Thank you.
The original nominee is good with that. So okay.
Problem solved.
Okay. great.
Teamwork.
There you go.
Way to go, everyone.
All right. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. We have another nomination.
No, just a general comment.
Okay.
I think the biggest challenge is graphically looking at these things. When you compare two options, obviously your brain can make a decision on it. But you're looking at these options from like too many variables. So I would say graphically, if you had an arrow pointing from one school area to another school area, so you had like graphically representation of how many students are going from one area to the other, and you had the thickness of the arrow kind of relevant to how many students are moved in that position. I think graphically with each individual map, you could see which ones have the
Okay.
biggest amount of changes. And I think that's kind of where we could start, is
help
getting better
understand.
information, more visual information.
Or next versions. Are there any more nominations? Would somebody like to nominate a map or a version of a map that is not represented?
Whatever the most expansive version of map 10 that has been proposed, and only add moving planning box 1718 and 1719 back to Timonium. Whatever the most, if that's the most expansive one, then yes.
Yes, that is the only map 10 with variations. So
Okay.
map 10 with map 10 version 3, which is built off of map 10 version 2.
1718 and 1719 to Timonium.
Okay.
Any other nominations?
And so, okay, so are there any other nominations? So I think the floor, people look resolved. So, okay. Okay, you want me to go through each one? Okay. Yes, sir.
Manny, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what this group's color is right here, but it seems like you're very specific about the planning blocks that you wish to change. And I would just love to hear kind of your understanding and kind of philosophy on why you're very specific about changing specific planning blocks. What's kind of the thinking around changing those planning blocks from your standpoints? So I think your table is the table that's made the most recommendations on changing the planning box.
The one I just made was to keep the Timonium district the way it is, because one of the goals is to relieve Timonium, and we 100% do not feel that we need to be relieved, and if we don't need to be, then it helps the whole project.
I'm a parent from Stoneleigh, and Stoneleigh is fine with increasing its enrollment, and so we're right next to the zone. I'm calling it the neutral zone, that everyone is like trying to move around, and we're just trying to do our part.
Okay, so I think we have our nominated maps on the wall, and we're going to give you guys adequate time to, when the voting process starts, you don't have to vote right away. If you need to come up and look at the maps, study the planning block moves, make sure you understand the adjustments that are being considered, you have time to do that. What we want to do before we get into voting is we want to give you guys voting machines. So that's important. So, but what we need to do is figure out who the voting members are. So what we're going to do is, if we could have, we're going to have everybody who's a voting member stand up. Okay. You want me to repeat the options? Okay, okay. Okay. Yes. Well, okay. I'll do it before you guys vote. I'll give you guys your clickers. Oh, if you haven't nominated yet. Okay. Okay. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's start from the top and make sure that we're all comfortable with nominations. Okay. So let's go to the top. First map that was nominated, option 8, version 2. Planning blocks 1914 to West Towson, 1915 to Rogers Forge, 416, 417, 422, and 428 to Hampton. Planning blocks 426, 27, and 431 to Stoneleigh. And planning blocks 421, 23, and 24 to Cromwell Valley. That is map 8 version 2. Okay? 8 version 3 is all of those. Okay, I'll start from the top. 1912, 1913, and 1914 to West Towson. Planning block 1915 to Rogers Forge. Planning block 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. Planning blocks 426, 27, and 426, 427, 431 to Stoneleigh. And planning blocks 423 and 424 to Cromwell Valley. So that is 8 version 3. Option 10 version 2 is option 10 with planning blocks 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. And planning block 423 to Cromwell Valley. Okay? Option 9, version 2, is planning blocks 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. Planning blocks 423 to Cromwell Valley, and planning block 914 to Padonia, and planning block 427 to Stoneleigh. Okay? And option 9, version 3 is built off of 9. Planning blocks 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. And planning block 423 to Cromwell Valley. Planning block 914 to Padonia. Okay? And then we have option 7, as is, 8 as is, 9 as is, 10 as is, and 5 as is to the public info session. And then we have option 10 version 3 with 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton, and planning block 423 to Cromwell Valley, planning block 1718 and 1719 to Timonium. So did you have another variation of a map that you'd like to consider?
Yes.
Okay.
Option 6 as is, it impacts the fewest number of children.
Okay. So map number 6, as is. Okay. So Anything else? Everybody comfortable with what the maps that are considered for nomination? All right, so while they put that up, let's get you your voting machines. So everybody who is an eligible voter, please stand up. We will hand you your voting machines, and when you get your voting clicker, you can please sit down so we make sure we have all eligible voters. 10v3, yeah. Gotcha. Okay, Chris. So we'll give you your clickers while we're doing this. But 10v3 is planning block 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. Planning block 423 to Cromwell Valley. And planning block 1718 and 1719 to Timonium. Did you get that, Chris? Yes. Okay, still need some more voters. Clickers. Okay. Okay, still any voters still need a clicker? Okay. If you need a clicker, raise your hand. Okay, clicker. Okay. We need one more clicker. If you are a voter and do not have a clicker, please raise your hand. If you're a non-voter and have a clicker, raise your hand. Okay? All right. We appreciate your honesty. So, okay, who needs a clicker? Oh, okay, okay. Let's make sure we get our clickers. I have to look at. Okay, so if you're a member on the committee and you do not have a clicker, we need to know. We got a couple extras. Maybe some people had to leave. Okay. All right. Did you have a question before or? Let's get a microphone. Yeah, we're going to go through the process of voting here, but she needs to ask a question. Okay.
I mean, if you're going to go through the process, then you might answer the question, but I just want to know, are we voting for one?
No, okay, I'll answer that.
And can we say no to something?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So here's a good segue. So here's where we go. Now we're in the voting mode, okay? So anybody can vote. Everybody has a vote, yes or no, on every single map that has been nominated. What we're going to do is we're going to ask if you want to take it to the public info session or not. You vote yes or no. If you want to take it to the public info session to share, yes. If you don't want to take it to the public info session, maybe you don't like it, you think it's whatever, you can still leverage it, and you say no. And then if you don't want to go, you say no. And then every option that has more than 50% yes vote will go to the public info session. So we're asking every voter to vote yes or no on every single map. And then that will help us determine where we have a majority to take to the public info session, and those will be the maps that we share with the public in a couple weeks. Okay, in the back of your device you have a number. When we do the voting, if we see there's a number that hasn't voted, because we can see who's voted already and not, we'll say, hey, 42 hasn't voted yet. your numbers are, oh, wait, it didn't work or something. So just make sure your number is on the back of the clicker if we ask any questions, okay? And you can change your vote until we until we run the scenario, and you'll be able to see the results on the screen. Any questions about voting? Yes, James? Okay, and definitely only hit A or B. We did have a couple people last week who voted C, and that doesn't work. So A is always yes, B is always no, okay? Yeah, we'll give you time. We're going to open the floor. Let's start with 8 version 2. If you want 8 version 2 to go to the public, okay, I will, yeah, let me, Mike, can you move that? Okay, 8 version 2, and if you want, you can go look at the map. Feel free to look at the map. You have time before you vote. 8 version 2 is option 8 with planning blocks 1914 to West Towson, 1915 to Rogers Forge, 416, 417, 422, and 428 to Hampton, 426, 427, 431 to Stoneleigh, 421, 423, and 424 to Cromwell Valley. That is map 8 version 2. If you want that to go to the public info session, click A for yes. If you do not want that to go to the public info session, click B for no. Yeah, they're right in order, yep. And take your time. If you want to go look at the map, that map 8 version 2 is the first map over here on the left. If you wanted to see it and make sure you're familiar with it. Make sure there's no hanging chads. So, dating myself. Several that still need a vote, yeah. So A for yes, B for no, and you can click A a couple times if you weren't sure if you clicked it or not, or B for that matter. $18. We still have some that need to vote? I think we still have one more that needs to cast their vote. Are they as number 28? If you're just making sure, if you need time, it's fine. But if you think you've cast your vote, you have not yet. We still have one map, 28. Can you look on the back of your clicker? If has everybody cast their vote? Anybody have not cast their vote yet? Okay, we're good? Okay, so we are good. So let's see the results. Okay, 67.6% voted yes. So map 8 version 2 will be presented at the public information session. So that one is a go. And that one we will be calling map option number A at the public info session. Okay. Next map. The next map is option 8 version 3, which is we're going in sequential order of nominations. The 8 version 3 is the next one, right? Right, Chris? Is that the next one on the left? Okay. They're not necessarily in the same order on the wall. Okay, that's fine. I think we just, if you're good with it, okay. 8 version 3 is map 8 with planning blocks 1912, 1913, 1914 to West Towson. And 1914 to West Towson. I need to make sure that are we clear? Did you add 1914? Or it was right. Okay, because it's already on that map with, so, okay. So map 8 version 3, again, planning blocks 1912, 1913, 1914 to West Towson. Planning block 1915 to Rogers Forge. Planning block 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. Planning blocks 426, 427, 431 to Stoneleigh. And planning blocks 423 and 424 to Cromwell Valley. Well, that's okay. 421. Okay, can you cancel that real quick, just to. Well, that's what we're making sure right now, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So, Chris, I'm going to read it off one more time. Let's make sure we have 8v3 right. Okay. So, 8 version 3 is map 8 with planning blocks 1912, 1913, 1914 to West Towson. Planning block 1915 to Rogers Forge. Planning block 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. Planning block 426, 427, and 431 to Stoneleigh. And planning blocks 421, 423, and 424 to Cromwell Valley. And 422 to Hampton. Because it was built off of 8v2, that's where there's running a little bit of making sure that we have the record correct. So we're not adding anything, we're just making sure that it's clear on the language. Yes, the difference is the, yes, okay. Okay, so everybody's clear on that? So vote on 8 version 3, yes if you want to take it to the public info session, no if you do not want it to go to the public info session. Okay. Yeah. You think so? Okay, keep considering. You got time. Don't worry. If just make sure you cast your vote when you're ready. I think we still have a few who have not voted, right? Three who have not voted yet. If you have not voted, we have 3, so make sure you have cast your vote. If you haven't voted, raise your hand. Okay, looks like everybody thinks they have voted. What numbers? Number 6, 19, and 25. Clickers 6, 19, and 25 have not registered. Clicker 19 is the only one left. There we go. Okay. Okay. 75.7% vote yes. 8 version 3, that will be map option B. Okay, moving right along. Option 10 version 2 with changes planning blocks 416, 417, 428 to Hampton, and planning block 423 to Cromwell Valley. If you want that map to go to the public for their review, click A. If you do not want it to go, click B. So we have about 3 or so, 2. I think we have 2 clickers. Has 1 clicker left? what number? Number 21. Okay, 21 has clicked. Okay. 54% say no. So this one will not move to the next, to the public info session. Not to say you can't use concepts as you prepare for your recommendation after the public info session. Okay, next map, option 9, version 2 is map 9 with planning blocks 416, 417, and 428 to Hampton. Planning blocks 423 to Cromwell Valley, 914 to Padonia, and 427 to Stoneleigh. We're getting there. Okay, how many more do we have? Just 3 more, okay. Yeah, just taking it in, making sure they know what they're voting on. It's important. So, 32 and 30. Oh, wait, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so which ones are left? 26 and 32 are the ones that are still yet to have cast. Now we just need, okay, we're good. 67%. 9 version 2 will go to the public info session. That will be option C. Okay. Next one. 9 version 3. Okay. So this map, 9 version 3 is map version 9 with planning blocks 416, 417, 428 to Hampton. Planning block 423 to Cromwell Valley. And planning block 914 to Padonia. This one does not include 427 to Stoneleigh. Which that map, was that map C? Okay, so that map did make it. This is the map 9 version 3 without that Stoneleigh move. But everything else that was in map C. All good, Chris? Okay. Really need the Jeopardy theme song going right. Yeah. Okay, got about 4 people still that are considering their vote for. Yeah, the numbers are. Who have not voted yet? 35, 32. And that's it? 35 and 32. Okay, 35 and 32, they voted. Okay. All right. 54% said no, so this map will not make it to the next step. Okay, next one, map option number 7, easy one. If you want map option number, draft option number 7 to go to the public info session, if you do want it to go, say yes, A. If you don't want it to go, vote B for no. When we get down to 4, I can call out the clickers maybe to make sure that they know that if they're thinking they voted. Thank you for bearing with us, guys. We're making progress here. Okay, which ones? Okay, clicker 21 has not cast theirs yet. Okay, we should be good. 36. We need 36. If you have not cast your vote yet, you're not on. There we go. Now you're on the record. Okay. 56.8% said no. So option 7 will not go to the public info session. Okay? How about option 8? Option 8 to the public info session, yes or no? As it is. Okay. Clicker number 26 is the only one left to cast their vote. Okay, should be good. 51.4% said no, so option 8 will not go as is. Okay. Option 9. Option 9 as is. Yes or no? Next meeting, yeah, yep, yep. And you can still use, you can use like planning blocks that didn't make it, you know, and incorporate. Yeah, you can still make changes.
Question was, these maps that go to public information session, are those the ones that are going to be considered afterwards? It's up to you. You can go back and look at every other map you've come up with. We're just deciding which ones the public are going to look at you get the feedback from the public, and then it's up to the committee to decide if they only consider those, if they still want to look at others, if they want to revise them. Everything is up to the committee.
Okay, we need clicker 10 is the only one who has not cast their vote yet. Number 10, if you think you've cast your vote, number 10, you have not yet. Is there anybody who has not voted yet? Okay, I think we're good. 54% said no, so option 9 will not go as is. Okay, option number 10, yes or no to the public info session.
There was a question about the stats of these revised versions. We will create the stats and you will get them ahead of the public information session, of the ones that are going to the public information session. Since you've moved the planning blocks around, they're just going to change the statistics. You'll get that information ahead of time.
Map number 10 is on the floor. We've got 3 left. Okay. 11 and 26. 11 and 26 have not cast their vote yet. Okay. 26, okay. 54% said no, so this one will not go to the public info session. Okay? Okay, now we have option number 5. Option number 5, as it is, yes or no to the public info session. We're good? Okay. 78% said no. Okay. So option 5 is not going. Okay, 2 more left. So bear with us. You guys are doing great. Okay, this is option 10 version 3, which is map 10 with planning blocks 416, 417, 428 to Hampton, and planning block 423 to Cromwell Valley, and 1718 and 1719 to Timonium. Yes or no? We have 2 clickers out there. Which one's Mike? Okay, we're all good. 75.7% said yes. So option 10 version 3 will go, and that will be option D at the public information session. All right. And the last one for consideration is option 6. Option 6, yes or no? number, which one? Number 35 is not voted yet. Number 35, okay, let's vote it. Okay. We all good? 62% said no. Okay, so that is it. We have options A through D. A, B, C, D, 4 options. Mike, could you switch back to the PowerPoint real quick? And then we'll let these amazing committee members go home here. So, just a couple points before we let you go. We've got 2 public info sessions on Wednesday and Thursday, the November 15th and 16th. The one on the 15th is at Cockeysville. The other one on the 16th is at Lockraven. We encourage you guys to show up to both of them. If you can't, try to come to one of them. But what the format of these is going to be, it's not an open mic type format. We're going to have a presentation auditorium and tell the story about how we got to these maps. And then we're going to have maps A through D in probably 3 or 4 stations. And we're going to have committee members stand around the maps in sort of a gallery walk format so that after the presentation, we invite the public to the maps, and they're going to have conversations with the committee around the maps and hear out their thoughts, and there will be a survey to accompany that. And you'll just encourage the public to fill out the survey, and that way that maximizes input, and it's the best way that we found to facilitate these. So we're going to ask if you could please arrive at 6:30 just so you can get there, see how it's laid out. I'll do a little bit of repeat on the orientation and give you the orientation on how we're going to do it. And that survey is going to run all the way through the December holidays. So through December 3rd, it's going to go from November 15th through December the 3rd. So they'll have some time to fill it out. Okay. Any questions? You guys good? Thank you guys so much for a productive night. You can just leave your clickers on the tables. We'll collect them. And we'll see you on November 15th at Cockeysville Middle School. Thank you very much.